Hi, Dave here, and today we're going to check out the work of Borislav Mitkov. He's based in Munster, Germany, a freelance concept artist. He's mainly a character designer, character artist, and he does have, I would put him in the category of Faraz Shanyar, because whenever he does render his characters, they do look a bit flat. Flat in the sense that they're kind of layered in terms of the shading. And if you look at the work of Faraz Shanyar, there's this kind of layering of values, or the gradation of values are layered. You can almost see the clear kind of cut between one value and the other. It's not like a smooth kind of transition. This guy, what's his name again? Borislav Mitkov. He does have a favorite brush whenever he renders. He's mainly, I think he does have a good foundational drawing skill, and it kind of transfers to his rendering or painting skills. He's very good with the faces, very good with the, he's very shape oriented. He kind of exaggerates the, everyone does exaggerate the face whenever they're applying their own style, but I do see a bit of sharpness in his work, like the way he does the forms or the shapes of the limbs and the faces. They generally have like a pointy look to them. Here there's a bit of a line sketch, so he does start with a rough line sketch and then he'll do another sketch over with a slightly precise kind of line work. Oh, by the way, this guy has an Instagram, he has a Twitch channel, and he also has a YouTube channel. So I do recommend you follow him in those platforms if you have, an account for one of them. I will be linking all of the links in the description below, so no worries. Another line sketch, and he does have a variation of styles. Sometimes he'll go for a comic book kind of look, sometimes he'll go for a digital painting kind of look, and then he'll sometimes go for a simple line sketch or pencil sketch kind of look. Now this one's it's kind of odd from his normal, or it's pretty unique from his typical kind of work. And it's mainly because of the brush. It's it's kind of an old piece, I guess. It's back in, or done in 2014, I'm guessing. Or is this 17? Fuck. So this one you can actually see him use it's a rake brush that has, in the shape dynamics option in Photoshop, you can change the pen pressure to make a brush, especially a flat brush, kind of become squiggly or kind of random in terms of how it jumps from, like it kind of rotates as you paint, kind of, yeah. It does provide a bit of that randomness. So I think it's the second option in the shape dynamics setting part of the brush setting, where if you just turn the setting to pen pressure, it kind of makes the brush squiggle around, and he does apply that setting to this specific rake brush. And I've noticed in this kind of brush, he'll actually he does add a bit of texture. I'm guessing he changed something in the dual brush mode. If not, it's going to be in the texture kind of part of the brush setting. So it does have a bit of that texture in it, but it still has that layered kind of look, similar to Faraz Shanyar. Oh yeah, so I believe it's 2014. It kind of looks like a 7 in a way. Fuck. Now this one is actually a bit more oil-like or gouache-like. So he doesn't use this typical brush of his. And it's a bit more rendered, or you can see the values kind of, there's a bit of blending in it. It's not as sharp compared to this kind of style. Now this one does feel like a Faraz Shanyar, because Faraz Shanyar actually, he doesn't go heavy with the values, or he doesn't go for deep darks. He likes to keep it very, almost in a light gray kind of fashion whenever he does his characters, which I find pretty interesting. And I do like how Borislav's portfolio is mostly a bunch of grayscale paintings, and it's pretty cool. And I think he's more consistent in on Twitch. So if you have a Twitch thing going on, you can check out his channel over there. And again, you can see that Rake Brush, it's kind of squiggly, right? It's almost graphical in nature. It's not, it doesn't feel heavily formy or kind of 3D. I mean, you can tell the forms are suggested, but the way it's done, it's pretty graphical and leveled in a way. Excuse me, fuck. Could be the same character, but again, you can see that same brush, and it has a nice look that you don't actually have to render, I guess, where you can see this form-like kind of gradation of values. You can go for a more flat kind of look, and it does help save time, because you can always add values by just, for example, the way he did this kind of fabric thing. He only added like a few extra suggestion of folds, and that's enough to kind of tell you that this is kind of overlaying on top of something, right? And you can see like the way the folds go with the, or how they're kind of pinched in these two spots, right? And that's kind of enough to communicate some kind of information. Even the hair is just essentially one silhouette. There are a few value changes in there. Maybe he had color dynamics on. He probably set the brightness to maybe 1 or 2 or 3, just to get a bit of that variation, so it won't look completely flat, but it's still mostly kind of direct and flat, you know. Again, that Rake Brush, it's his favorite, and I do like the fact that he does, again, mainly do, or a lot of his work is done in grayscale, more than he does, you know, colored work. And it does help you focus more on the important part of, because there is a hierarchy, I guess, of like values have to come first before the colors, because you can actually have any kind of color, for as long as the values are good or correct, it's going to make sense. And I think it's good to practice in grayscale for the most part, especially when you're trying to study forms. You don't need to have color all the time. That's something you can do in more professional work, or whenever you're actually being hired to do something, maybe. But when you're practicing, I think it helps to keep things simple. It doesn't have to be grays. It could be like a analogous, monochromatic. Monochromatic, I think, is the appropriate word, right? And I've noticed that his characters tend to be kind of angry. That's his kind of default expression, because he does like a lot of warriors. But I do like the variety of characters that he does. I expected more women, but he likes more warrior types of dudes. Lots of orcs. And even when he does creatures, I believe he does have a few creature designs. They do look pretty angry as well. I love the way he can simplify the face and make it actually look like a face. It reminds me a bit of Miguel Iglesias. Now this one's another creature based on the formation of the brows. It looks like this guy is pretty pissed off, right? Pretty angry. And look at how it's not fully rendered, right? You can see a lot of the brush strokes, and you can see that kind of leveling, I guess. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, here we have a portrait study of this babe, and you can still see that squiggly kind of rake brush of his, and it looks good. And look at how the face is hardly leveled. There's not a lot of value variation, right? You can see this big shadow underneath the face, obviously, and even the neck. Wow, this kind of choke necklace or this kind of dress here is pretty much just flat, right? Even the hair is just pretty random. It's just a bunch of strokes. He did go a bit deeper slightly with the nose and the eyes, but it isn't too much, right? So he doesn't go overboard with the values. Here you can see that a bit more, just because there's a bit of a light source coming from below. But you know what? It's still not much of value variation, but you can see the or value leveling, or wait, shit. There isn't a lot of like the value range is not too big, but there's obviously a change in value enough to suggest forms. And it still has that flat kind of look, and I like how it looks random in a way, like how the brush isn't, or the brushwork isn't too clean. Even if it does have a flat kind of look, it looks kind of cool when it kind of jumps around, especially in the edges. Now for Faraz Shanyar, he does render it to a more fine level, and you can tell by the way he does his edge work, it's a bit cleaner compared to Borislav, right? Feels like a Star Wars kind of piece, right? Cool guy with the Gatling gun, same style. Shit, reminds me a bit of Li Xingyan or Lixinian, Li Xingyan, right? He does like a lot of speed paintings, and it kind of looks like this, where it's not super clean, but you can tell which is which. And he's pretty good at suggesting things, and the same goes for Borislav. What's his last name? Fuck. Borislav Mitkov. Another kind of warrior. And again, he likes the war-centered, lots of masculine looking dudes. I obviously don't have these facial proportions. You know, the very high cheekbones, square jaw. I'm very, very baby-faced in that way. Here we have a nice longitudinal shot, almost like a keyframe for a film, right? It looks kind of cinematic. I do believe a lot of character artists, especially the ones that can sketch quickly, I think they have an advantage whenever storyboards have to be done, because obviously more often than not you'll have like a person in the shot, right? So if you can draw someone quickly, it's going to be very, very advantageous. And not just character artist, if you are kind of a painter, storyteller kind of guy, kind of like Alexander Mandrajev and Matthias Snig, they can kind of see the bigger picture of things, or in terms of composition, they kind of know how to deal with frames and shots in general. So whenever they do narrative sequences where there's a series of shots, they can kind of do better, right? Anyway, so here he does have like a flat brush, and again you can see the randomness in the strokes. It is not super clingy when it comes to being right. He does get a bit more specific, I've noticed, in this kind of in his attire, but you know, it's pretty good. Like, you can tell the forms of the face just by the way he uses a brush, how he kind of sculpts the forms of this kind of skull-like, skeleton-ish, zombie-like face. This one actually reminds me a bit of Flaptraps. What's his name? Richard something. Flaptraps. Oh fuck, I'm forgetting his name. Oh, Richard Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Richard Anderson. He does have a similar style where he likes to use flat brushes. Obviously Borislav Shanyar doesn't use it as much. He likes the Rake Brush with the texture thing. But this whole thing looks a lot like Richard Anderson's typical work. And Richard Anderson, I think, does storyboards as well. Like, he can do storyboards just because he can draw characters quickly as well. And you know what? He does have a similar painting style to Borislav. It does have a flat kind of look. I mean, there's texture, but you can tell it's a bit sharp. You can tell the edges of each brush stroke are there. He doesn't like to use the mixer brush, or he doesn't like to smoothen things out. So yeah. Although again, Richard Anderson is also not as clean as Faraz Shanyar. This could be like for no idea, but he has a good grasp of that facial structure, and even the way he does the faces in the background, they all have that expression in them. And it's pretty good with the facial expressions, because usually people, or I have, this thing. It's pretty common where you have like a flat face, where the face is kind of like a dead whenever you do your character designs. And it's good to have a variation of faces in your work, because it contributes to the character of the character, right? So, fuck. So we have Batman here. He likes to use, again, the Rake Brush. Awesome. And again, very, very nice distinction of values. Very, very sharp. It's not super smooth. Now this one, there's a bit more value. There's more of a value range when it comes to the face. It almost looks like a rendering. Although in the beard, it does get more flatter. Again, he likes to use that squiggly Rake brush. And he also has a bigger texture brush just to kind of fill in large sections of a frame or canvas. I believe this is Agent 47. I actually like the film adaptation of. I believe it started out as a game, and then they made it into a film. I actually like the film very much. Very, very cool. The first one, I think was it released in 2000? I believe 2007 or something. 2008. Fuck, hard to say. Now we have Superman here, fan art. Again, you can see that big Rake brush use. Very, very squiggly approach. I do recommend you check out his YouTube because he does post a time lapse, I guess, of I'm guessing his Twitch videos, because the Twitch stuff is pretty long. So yeah. Oh fuck. Again, squiggly Rake brush. Obviously it's hard to see because you're seeing everything from afar, right? Because he's painting like the whole figure essentially. But again, you can see the heavy shapes here, especially in the lower part of the body, the legs. No shit, fuck, the feet, pretty much suggested. Even the arms here, right? Look at how we separated the knuckles, or these front part of the fingers with everything else, and it's more of a suggestion, right? And he does go into deeper detail, I would say, just a bit, in the chest area, and obviously even more so in the face. Same thing goes for this guy. It's usually the thing where you focus on the face, work on the chest, upper arms, and then you just kind of loosen things up a bit as you go further down, because obviously the focus is almost always going to be in the face, so you want to get that right? I would recommend the work of Miguel Iglesias. I'm not sure if I did an art review. I don't think I've done an art review of his work yet, but he does the same thing. He even starts out painting the face and then works his way outward to the body. So that's pretty cool. Moving on, now this one's more of a sci-fi. Now he doesn't do a lot of sci-fi types of artwork. Very, very traditional warrior like. The facial structure here reminds me a bit of, I believe his name is John Buscema. He's an old school comic book artist, and I don't know, the way the face is done and even the hair it's pretty much his kind of look. Sci-fi concept. I see a lot of flat brush use here. Pretty awesome. Here's more of a line sketch, no shit, and very good draftsmanship skills. Here he does put a simple kind of flat under painting or coloring, just to kind of set the main parts, and kind of set them apart. Fuck. Another sci-fi chick or sci-fi concept, and I think it does help to have an appropriate brush. So for his sci-fi stuff, he tends to, I guess, use a flat brush just because it looks more cleaner and it makes more sense that way, right? Maybe if you're doing a more rusted kind of mech or something, maybe you could use a brush that has a bit more texture, obviously, right? Oh, he does have storyboards. Oh, it reminds me of Dan Milligan. Dan Milligan is an amazing storyboard artist, and he posts a lot of his frames on his ArtStation portfolio. So I do and I also did an art review, obviously, of Dan Milligan. Fuck. And yeah, I guess it's just easier for these character artists. Now, Dan Milligan is not a character artist per se. I think he's more of a storyboard artist, but sometimes he'll dabble in concept art. But I do think character artists do have an advantage just because they've been drawing characters forever. Now, I think it also helps if you have a variety of experience. If you just draw babes all day, you're not going to be good at storyboards because you need, the story will depend on, the story, right? So, or the character's story will depend on the story. So you're going to have a bunch of different characters at the same time. Anyway. Oh, I also think he does use Corel Painter sometimes, aside from Photoshop. And I believe these were done in Corel Painter. Now, I don't see a line sketch. I think he just focused in on the values here. But it shows you that it doesn't matter which brush you use. If the skill is there, it's going to show up, whatever tool you use. Now, obviously, the approach here is not going to be a line work kind of approach. It's going to be heavily on the values, right? Pretty cool. I do know Miguel Iglesias does the same thing. He doesn't draw out his sketches in the beginning. He goes directly into like shading the or painting the face essentially, which is pretty badass. Some kind of orc. Now this one is a bit more rendered, and it has that gouache-like kind of rendering style where it's a bit more flat, right? Where you can see again that kind of distinction of shapes within shapes in the way it's rendered. It's not super smooth, it's not oily, it's a bit flat. Like it's a bunch of flats inside flats. Hopefully you're getting what I'm saying. And he did start out with the line sketch. Same approach here. Now this one does look a bit rendered in this area. I've noticed. Fuck. Noticed. Very, very awesome beard. And again, he's angry again. So I'm not sure if he started out with a grayscale painting and then colored it. But yeah. A pirate with a nail in his hat. And in this case, he used a different brush, not the squiggly one. With the Rake squiggly brush. Now, he does have a bunch of posts in his ArtStation where there are volumes of sketches done in a year. And I've only picked out a couple just because there's so much and I don't have the time to go over every single one of them. But I do recommend you follow him on ArtStation, check out his portfolio, and find those posts. Because he has a bunch of sketches. Awesome zombie, dead, knight. Oh, I have a similar flat brush. I have one like this. Reminds me a bit of the sketching style of Jama Jumabaev. Fuck, yeah. Because he likes to use this flat brush kind of thing with a bit of spacing in them. It's almost bordering between a solid flat brush and a rake brush. Because you can see a bit of that spacing in between, right? A nice pencil sketch. It does look very pencil-like. He does have a more refined or a sharper kind of brush for the more straight, well not straight, but the more thinner lines, and then he'll have like a shading type of brush where it almost seems like he's using the side of a pencil. Whoa, pretty cool. And it has enough texture in it to make it look like an actual pencil. And again, angry face, awesome beard, very, very sharp features. Oh, this one reminds me a bit of what's his name? Mikhail Burlko, the first guy or the first artist I reviewed in this art review series thing. Just because of the concept. The concept itself reminds me of his work. Very, very death-centered, very dark subject matter. Pencil sketch, awesome. Here is kind of explore. He did like a full figure kind of sketch, and then he went in to kind of explore the face just a bit. Some more character design explorations. Same thing here. Suggestion of the whole figure, well, half of this kind of Viking character, and then a bit of development in the face. And look at how he can do expressions pretty well, right? And again, even in his static phase, there's always that anger part of it, right? So this is some kind of pirate. Very, very confident looking person. Mischievous. Almost perverted. Here we have a almost like a tired looking fellow. Look at how he can communicate that kind of expression. He's pretty tired looking. And this one, and this guy, in this version, is kind of doubtful. He feels more like a Joker kind of person, right? Whoa. Oh, this one's more of a different style. You can still see the sharpness of it, but he'll do very sharp, dashy kind of rendering, sketching thing. Fuck. I'm not explaining it well enough. It's a bit sharp, definitely, and he likes to do this dashy thing. It's kind of replicating his Rake Brush squiggly thing. Or maybe the Rake Brush squiggly thing is replicating the dashy look that he likes. And whenever he does his comic, you could classify this as a comic kind of way of rendering, because comic book artists, they do have a thing for inks. So, yeah, right. Very, very graphical, and I like how he added this basic kind of lighting separation. He'll do like a deep black in the background to help make the character pop out, right? And then he'll do, and then he'll add a simple grayscale or gray shadow layer, right? Zombie. Reminds me a bit of that framed ink guy. There's a guy who did the framed ink book. He likes to use a kind of flat brush as well when rendering. Matius. I believe he's Spanish or something. Awesome. Reminds me a bit of the Witcher guy. Although the teeth is kind of too sharp for me. But yeah, just because of the hair, maybe. And again, very, very angry looking person. Angry looking skull. Oh, he went back to that Rake Brush that's kind of squiggly, right? And look at how it looks cool. Like the forms are suggested, even though his approach is not kind of a rendering approach. It's just a bunch of shapes within shapes, right? And it's not even that super clean, right? But it's pretty. From afar, it looks just right. Another skull. Oh, reminds me of this is from the Hills of Ice or something. It's a horror kind of film, and I've actually been. They were actually pretty hot because they were like a bunch of nurses, right? Or they're kind of like nurses, and they look pretty hot. And I remember watching porn. There was a porn kind of parody of. I even saw 3D porn of this of this specific character, and I actually. I'm not sure how to feel about that. I'm kind of conflicted, but I don't know. It's pretty hot. They're pretty hot. I'm not sure why their face is such, but again, squiggly brush. The Rake squiggly brush is his favorite thing to do, and of course, a more broader kind of texture brush to fill in large areas, right? Oh yeah, not a lot of brush variety in his work. He likes to keep it simple. I think the texture in the brush and the rakiness of it is enough for him, and it works. It works for me. And his work does look very graphical whenever he does this kind of style, right? Now for this one, it reminds me of, again, the John Buscema kind of comic book artist. The way he renders the inks is pretty much similar to that guy. And I like how he added a bigger version of the sketch in the background. I believe Zach Foreman, he does a lot of mechs. He does the same thing whenever he does his mech sketch designs. He'll add like the line sketch in the background to it's more of a filler kind of design effect, but it adds a bit of something. So yeah, these are more comic book like types of sketches. The style, at least, very, very heavy with the blacks. Now this one's heavily line work with a bit of shading, or not shading. You could see a bit of shadows, perhaps, but it's flat essentially. It's flat essentially. Excusez-moi. And you can see more of that pencil-like approach. And it's not super thick like his comic book graphic novel type of sketches. Again, very angry looking person here, or orc. Same kind of style, I guess. Oh, his beer is kind of spilling out. And look at how the pose works, right? He knows how to add context, and his sketches do have a bit of weight in them. Like they're not floating in space, you know? Right? They actually look like robust beings. Oh, fuck, look at the amount of line work here, right? He even used it to suggest the folds of this kind of boot thing. Whoa, even the fur, whoa. Anyway. Okay, Rake Brush. With some texture. Very, very angry looking guy. We have an orc here. Awesome. And look at how it's not super clean, right? You can see a bit of that randomness, but it looks cool just because it's the value change or the value difference is close enough. It doesn't have to be super exact for it to make sense, right? And if you're a messy kind of person or a messy kind of painter, this type of approach works a lot. Or if you're the impressionistic type of painter like me, I would suggest checking out this guy's work. And yeah, another orc. Sci-fi, kind of a sci-fi thing. Even when this guy is smiling, he's kind of, you know, like he has like an angry kind of set of eyebrows here, right? Oh, he does have a GIF. I used to say GIF, but I think I converted to GIF. Whoa! But look at the amount of that rake brush use. Again, that bold, broader texture brush in the background. But for the most part of this face, you can see that you can see him use that, his favorite texture brush or his favorite rake brush, right? So a simple line sketch, just kind of suggesting the silhouette of the face or the whole head, and then with a bit of value, like flat set of value in the beginning, and then he'll just start adding value after value, right? And look at how he doesn't have to figure everything out in the beginning. You can build it as you go, right? So no pressure, no pressure. Another orc pointing at someone. Ah! Ooh, I love it. These are more like design heavy concepts, because it's not, there's a bit of characterization there. It's obviously a warrior, but he's kind of in a stable position. It's more about the design of his armor, right? We have a swordsman, an archer, a spearman, right? Is that a thing? Spearman? Fuck. And again, he likes to use that squiggly rake brush with some texture. Texture. Look at how he just suggested the boots here, right? Now this one actually takes some time to paint. It's kind of like a fish-like armor. Here it's more of just the fabric. You'll die with this one. I mean, it makes sense because you're just an archer. Ooh, you're not even fighting, you know, like close combat. Weak bitch. Now this one's more of a broader fellow. He has like a club. Oh, it reminds me of the weapon of Sauron in Lord of the Rings. He has like now for him, he did have like a very spiky looking one. But this guy also has a spear and a shield, so he's pretty heavy set. And you can tell he did focus the rendering part, or he has more value. He has a bigger value range when it comes to the face and the chest. Another comic book kind of approach, right? Right? And look at how the faces are super, they're enough, right? I'm not sure if he has like a comic book, but he could do one. And again, in this style, you can even do storyboards, right? Because I know comic book artists also do well whenever they do storyboards, because comic book panels are just like a bunch of sequences anyway. Obviously, when you do storyboards for film commercials, you have like a stable, maybe a 16 by 9 or some kind of cinematic kind of shot. So that's pretty much the only thing you have to change. And you don't even have to color, or that's the only limit you have, and you don't even have to color usually, or storyboards anyway. Look at the amount of face structures he can do, right? Amazing. And he can draw beards pretty well, and mustaches, right? Oh, fuck. Damn. I'm not sure if he's selling his ink brushes, but he could. They do have a nice texture to them, especially in the edges. Very, very sexy. Anyway. Oh, he did kind of added a halftone effect for the face here, right? Excuse me. Okay, anyway. Oh, yeah, I've noticed that he doesn't, again, do a lot of like females or women. Female characters. So it's kind of sad. Because I obviously have a lean. But again, because he does like a lot of masculine looking men, he's pretty good at them, right? They actually look like, they don't just look like generic men. They have character in them. You know, like they're actual people with emotions, right? Of course, they're not like vulnerable, you know, how people say you should be vulnerable as a dude. That's not a good way to approach life. Another skull person with that kind of East Asian, Chinese kind of hat thingy. Central Asia, perhaps, kind of like an Iranian warrior, I'm guessing. Right. Oh, selfie. Oh, it's kind of like a sci-fi. Oh, this is one example of him using the squiggly kind of rake brush in a sci-fi concept. Not a lot of sci-fi parts here, except for the arm, kind of like the Winter Soldier in the Marvel thingy universe. We have a gunman. He's obviously meant for snow. Very, very fluffy. And again, he likes to use that same brush. So he kind of just copied the top part of the head and the chest, and then he added a bit of a hat here. And you could tell there's a bit more value. There's more of a value range, right? Compared to the rest of the parts, right? It gets flatter as you go further down. Same thing here, he cut the chest to the head, and then he added, and then he added this bit of armor. Or this helmet, sorry. Oh, in the lower part of the leg, you can see that line sketch, right? A very rough kind of line sketch. Right? A bit of rendering here in the bottom part of the chest, the abdomen. And then it gets further, it gets more... Oh, not much. Not much, actually. It's not super... There's not a big value range here. No. Even the top part of the head is flat. I'm guessing because he'll have to sketch over it anyway in this version, so yeah, whatever. Okay, so this guy is a psychopath because he has hands hanging off of his tool thing here. He has like a spike thing for his crotch area. Fucking incel. Ooh. I'm not sure what incel. I think incel means like a virgin for dudes. I'm not. I think if you're. Fuck, I have no idea. He does simplify the head a bit, not a lot of value range, or value, there's not a big value range when it comes to the face, but it's still enough to suggest the forms of the nose, the mouth, the eye sockets, right? More of the rendering, I would say, and you can tell just because there are more darks in it, is obviously going to be in the chest and maybe upper arms, right? And even this spike thing here has a highlight in it, so it helps to make it more 3D-ish. This guy looks insane. He looks insane. I think this was part of his Twitch stream. He was just doing a bunch of random pop culture stuff. I forgot the name of this guy. He has this kind of machete thingy, like a small sword knife, and he likes to kind of hack people. I think there was this kind of rivalry between him and the not sister hands, but the Freddy guy, right? Shit, I can't remember their names, but this is obviously God of War. I remember playing God of War in my PSP. Awesome game. I'm not sure where this is from. I can't recall. I believe this is from some kind of horror film. Indiana Jones, right? Terminator. I think the new one at least. And I'm guessing this one is from The Predator, right? You've got Arnold Schwarzenegger here, and you've got this. I believe his last name is Ventura. He used to be the governor of Virginia, I believe, and he's also a Vietnam vet, and I think he works for RT, Russia Today. He has like a show there, so pretty awesome. Well-rounded person, very, very buff dudes. Oh, again, he likes to use that. Guess what? Reiki textured squiggly brush. Now it's more of a creature design, but it still has that humanoid form. Very, very zombie-esque, right? Look at how random it is. Not super clean. Again, check out Li Xingyin's work, or Lixin Li Xingyin's work. I did an art review of his work as well. Focus more on his speed paintings and you can see what I see. Whoa! Another skull concept. Skull or zombie dead guy concept. He does get even more random when it comes to like the body, but the head is pretty the sockets are pretty refined, right? So this guy is pissed, angry, or is just kind of grunting because he's a zombie, right? I love the jacket here. Very, very interesting. And look at how the folds are super simplified in this area, right? A bit of splatter in the upper part of this painting, right? So this one is based off of, I believe, a bird. I'm guessing a bird. It looks like it has a bit of a beak, but obviously it has teeth. Again, that rake brush and that big broad texture brush for the background and shit. And again, you can see how that brush kind of squiggles here. Whoa. Oh, they do like they belong in the world of Star Wars, or The Mandalorian, right? I'm not sure when the next season is coming. Season 3. Is there a season 3? And shit, wasn't the buff chick cancelled or something? Because she made like a comment and then Disney kind of, yeah, it was fucked up. He has a Captain America symbol, but he has like elf ears, so this is kind of very confusing for me. But again, rake brush, squiggly rake textured brush. Oh, here is the rare occasion where he draws another female character, and look at how he can explore the facial expressions. They actually look pretty decent, right? This one's just kind of pissed. This one's just kind of concerned but kind of focused. This one, she's kind of moving. You can tell by the hair, and just kind of looking at you, maybe checking you out. This one, she's just kind of maybe staring into some kind of sunset, right? Ooh! Awesome line sketches. They do belong, I feel, in the Star Wars kind of realm. For me. Oh, a bit of samurai armor looking things here, or samurai inspired. Lots of fur for these two folks. Excuse me. Look at the variation of heads here, or head designs, right? And all of them have their own individual expressions, right? Even this guy is pretty cool. This guy's pretty kind of serious. This guy's kind of serious as well. And this guy's kind of funny looking. This one's kind of, you know, I'm not sure how to explain this kind of expression, but yes. And look at how he shades. Very, very hatchy, kind of, not hatch like cross hatching, but he likes to render with the form, or his strokes go with the form, right? Same thing for these fellows here. Very, very awesome thick mustaches, right? And here we have another orc, right? Another angry dude. He has like a stone, so this could be like a mage, some kind of wizard orc. or Goblin. Reminds me of the anime Goblin Slayer. Pretty intense. I remember watching the first episode. The scenes were pretty rough for me. Very, very rough. But, I enjoyed it. I mean, I did enjoy it, but it's kind of sad because I believe, like, it was too soon. Like an entire team died. And one of them actually got, like, inseminated, and it was pretty rough. But yeah. Oh, this one feels like he belongs in the world of the Lord of the Rings. So, again, another kind of fantasy, traditional looking set of clothing here. So that's it for this art review of Borislav Mitkov. You can follow him on ArtStation, on Instagram, on his YouTube channel, and you can check him out on his Twitch channel. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this art review, again, of Borislav Mitkov. Keep drawing, keep painting, and stay free.